This is Andi Purewal for ID Boxing. I'm joined by promoter Ben Shalom here in Manchester. Ben, how's life been treating you?
Very good. Good to be home, not having to stay in hotels this week, just stay at home, round the corner. Good to be in Manchester, just seen Ricky Hatton do his press conference as well. It's good. I'm looking forward to Saturday.
Just to touch on that, how is it going to work on Saturday night in terms of a changeover? Because we've been told throughout it's two different events.
It is. I think same arena, one ticket. We'll go on till about 11 o'clock as we usually do, half 10, 11, and then Ricky will do his exhibition after. It's worked really well. Tickets have gone crazy. We've got full bottom bowl and more. I think we'll get towards 10,000 in there for a night like this is incredible. So worked really well, and to see Ricky in shape. Ricky, he won't remember this, but I was sat next to him on a plane from Paris, and I was just thinking about getting into boxing. I think it was like 2017. He was like, "Who is this kid?" And I was asking him about how to get into boxing, promoting, and this and that. And I think he still had a license at the time, or Paul did. But yeah, and so he presented the golden robe on our very first tournament. So to be here, it's crazy how things work out, and to see him in such good shape, like how I remember when he was fighting. I'm looking forward to Saturday. A lot of friends and family there as well.
So I imagine you're particularly looking forward to seeing Ricky back in the ring, Ben, even if it's just an exhibition.
Yeah, just great to see him fit, healthy, such a character, big personality in the city. Good for boxing because you got the likes of Brad Ray and Clarke Smith, and guys that want that fan base and want those interested, those older boxing fans to look at the younger generation coming through. So I think it's going to work perfectly.
Jonas-Dicaire, obviously headlining the Boxer and Sky show, talks about that fight, Ben. Dicaire may not be well known over here, but what do you know about her and what are you expecting from that main event for you guys?
Yeah, looked at a lot. Look, in the first instance, we looked at her for like one of Tasha's first fights, and we decided against it. We couldn't trust the weight difference, and we know she's the toughest opponent, 154 for Tasha. But the confidence that we've got from watching how she's performed over the past couple of events, that's what's given us the confidence to go, you know what, she's ready. It's going to be a tough fight. The weight difference is there for all to see, but she's also a good boxer, southpaw as well as Tasha. Awkward, robust, only ever lost to Claressa Shields, so it's a serious title fight. It's for 3 world titles, for the Ring Magazine belt. And yeah, it's the toughest moment for Tasha, I think. She's had an incredible year. And for her to maybe win 3 world titles this year, it will be some story. But yeah, this one on Saturday is a 50-50 fight.
If she comes through successfully and she does pick up another title and the Ring Magazine title, which I didn't know was on the line, by the way, Ben, can I just ask when that was sorted out?
It was Joe Gallagher sorted that out. So he looks after his fighters. He's been pushing for this. We've worked very well with Canadian promoters, Marie Decaire's promoters as well, and it's worked really well because I think that division needed something. You had Claressa move up to 160. And it almost was perfect for Tasha to come in, and she's the superstar of the division right now. She's the biggest name in the division. She's getting all the big fights, and this was a great opportunity for Marie as well.
Looking towards the future, Claressa Shields moving down to 154, do you think that's potentially the most likely or viable option for Natasha next? Natasha mentioned obviously Chantel Cameron recently becoming undisputed. The Katie Taylor fight's still there, but for you, Shields versus Jonas?
I wasn't thinking about it until Claressa called it out and Tasha said that she really won that fight. So we'll see. I think it's hard to talk too much about fights coming in the future, especially when Saturday is such a big fight. She said to me 3 names: Shields, Taylor, McCaskill, all the different weights. McCaskill's still got a belt at 147. So those are the fights that she wants, and she just wants the big fights. She's something special, Tasha. She'll take any fight, anywhere, anytime. Once she's got 3 world titles, then she can choose what she wants to do, and that Claressa's fight is there if she wants it.
Ben, Dalton Smith, Casey Benjamin. Dalton may not be your fighter, but he's boxed on the Sky platform previously. A huge talent. Excited to see him in that one?
Yeah, really excited. To be honest, Casey Benjamin drove that. He wanted the Dalton Smith fight. When we saw it went to purse bids, we knew that it was going to come, and we made sure that we won. We wanted to see Dalton on Sky. We wanted to see that fight on Sky. I think it's an unbelievable fight. It's Dalton's biggest test, and Dalton's considered one of the brightest prospects in the country. So to win this fight's been a big deal for us, and we'll see what happens after with Dalton. But I'm under no illusion. I think Casey Benjamin really believes he's going to win this fight. And I think it's going to be a great fight on Saturday, and we'll see what happens after. But yeah, delighted that it's on the card.
Now, of course, you can't look beyond Saturday night and the winner of that fight, but it's no secret Dalton will become a free agent beyond Saturday night. He's in a very luxurious position if he wins. He's a British champion, undefeated, looking at some big fights. I imagine yourself and Sky will be trying to make a play to get him over the line and to join your team.
Look, the reason I'm smiling is it's so good for fighters. And especially it reminds, we've been here before with the Olympians, and it was every week, who's going to sign this one, who's going to sign that one, and you know who's after everyone. And we've built our business so far on trying to find the future superstars. That's where we're focused on. That's where we want to spend our money and our time developing them, and Dalton is obviously one of them. We signed a long-term deal with Azim last week, which we're incredibly proud of and excited about, because we really think he is something really special. And Dalton, it almost reminds me, I said up there, you know, their careers are going to run parallel, and they're always going to be compared, and it's a future super fight. But we'd love to develop Dalton. I think whatever happens, he's such a good lad. I know Grant well. Obviously, John Docherty retired this week, and we had him in the gym, and Florian Marcoux, and I just want to see Dalton's career develop, because he's a fighter that I think Sheffield will get right behind him, and he can grow that fan base and hopefully can be a future superstar in the sport.
Tying down Azim to that long-term deal as well, Ben. I saw comments about there's pay-per-view elements attached to that. So can you just explain to me kind of more of details in that deal?
Look, it's so long-term that you have to think, where can this go? With Adam, we think the world is his oyster. We think he's got everything. He's a baby, he's 20 years old, his feet are on the ground, he's going to have a fantastic support behind him from ourselves in Sky, and he's going to be boxing regularly, and we expect him to become a superstar. So yeah, we're planning for the future in the sense that we believe this kid is the future of British boxing. And so when you've got a long-term deal, you have to think, well, where's this going to be in 3, 4, 5 years' time? And that's all that is.
Mentioning John Docherty as well, just to stick with kind of Dalton, or go back to him rather, can you tell us as to why he's opted to retire from the sport?
Who?
John Docherty.
Yeah, look, he had I don't know if I'm talking out of turn, he had a scan, and you have to listen to the medical. You know, it's a tough sport, and when you hear things like that, that is when it really hits home. You know, someone in his ascendancy again, very talented. Ask anyone in boxing, John Docherty is an extremely talented fighter, and I'm gutted for him, because he dedicated his life to the sport and was in that gym, and we kept trying to make fights, and he just wasn't getting over the line for whatever reason. And yeah, it's really sad, and I hope that the community will support him. I hope that boxing will support him, and I'm sure he's going to have a great career, whatever he does after. And yeah, heart goes out to him and his family and everyone involved, to be honest, because it's sad, but ultimately it's the right decision, and you can't have fighters fighting in there unless they're absolutely 100%. It's a dangerous enough sport as it is.
Obviously, I won't follow up on that. Thoughts go to John with his retirement as well. Just moving forward though, and looking at the rest of the card, Fraser Clarke, Sokolowski, a fight which has been spoken about for a while, Ben. The kind of test that you feel is right at this stage of Fraser's career?
Yeah, we got a lot of grief for Fraser Clarke's opponents. Again, a lot of pull-outs, a lot of things happening on fight week, and then having to find an opponent on 24 hours notice. This time, we wanted to give Kamil 8 weeks. He usually comes in with 1 or 2 weeks. It's a tough test. Kamil Sokolowski is one of my favourite fighters to watch. He comes, we know what he's going to bring it. We've watched him for years. And yeah, Fraser taking him in his 4th fight is a statement, I feel, especially a dangerous Kamil who's prepared. Sorry. And I'm looking forward to that. I think he needs it. Fraser needs it on the big platform, and we'll see what he's made of, because we feel he's going right to the top, and it's good for him to make statements like Saturday night.
Viddal Riley. Now, I know you don't want to look beyond Saturday night, but you've previously suggested a potential bout with Jake Paul, and you said you'd reach out to his team. Viddal's a lot more quiet now. He's not as open to it. He wants to focus on his boxing career and facing genuine boxers. So just talk to me about that entire scenario. Had you had a past conversation with Viddal where he said he was more open to it than what it's been suggested to us previously?
You know what? Viddal, credit to him, he could do whatever he wants, and he's focused on this sport. and he's very serious about taking it seriously. He wants to win British titles, he wants to win world titles, so for him his blinkers are on. Obviously we get asked about Jake Paul all the time, and Jake Paul knows that Viddal Riley is near enough his weight, but a seriously well respected boxer. But for me, from speaking to Viddal, his focus is on the traditional route. He wants to prove himself. There's nothing more that means to him than winning world titles, and you got to respect that when you have that many options. And I really think he's almost like a rough diamond in the sport, in the sense that we look at the Olympians, we look at the Whitakers, the Azims, and we look at the Fraser Clarks, and we see them coming through, and everyone's expecting big things. But Viddal Riley has that. He has the talent, but he also has a huge following, and he's going to be someone that brings a lot to the cruiserweight division over the next few years.
Well, Ben, just a few other topics I want to touch on away from the card. Obviously, you have the WBC Convention, which is ongoing out in Mexico. I'm sure you've seen the comments as to why a representative of Boxer was not out there. Can you just explain to the people as to why you took that decision not to send somebody on your behalf?
Look, we speak to Maurizio all the time. We got what we wanted to do. We knew we weren't going to be there. In regards to Liam Smith, we know what his next fight is, and that's our focus, and that's his focus, and it's for us, that's the biggest fight we can make, and that's what we're focused on finishing.
You said you know what his next fight is. By that note, I imagine you're talking about a certain Chris Eubank Jr. When can we expect an update on that?
Look, it's just about the date now. Speaking to Calla regularly. Everything's agreed. We'll hopefully announce next week. I'm looking forward to it. It's a fight I've wanted to see for a long time. I was hoping we'd get it just in this year, but obviously we're looking at 5 weeks, 6 weeks from December 17th now. Probably going to be slightly later, but yeah, the fight will happen, and it's one that fans can look forward to. It's one that I'm looking forward to.
Slightly later, I wouldn't imagine you go Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve, which would be the following Saturday, so you look towards January. With that in mind, will you still look to put a show on December 17th?
Yeah, we're going to put on the show. I'm not sure it's a secret, but we want to go down to Bournemouth. We want Chris Billam-Smith to headline. We were going to go on the 10th. I think that might look like it's going to be the 17th now, and we're going to do a big card again on the South Coast. It was such a big success in July. He's got a huge following. He wants to fight for world titles. That cruiserweight division is special at the moment, and yeah, that's where we think we'll be going as our last show of the year.
Ben, Taylor-Catterall 2 update, what is the latest with that?
Again, deal done, date to be announced. Both those fights, dates to be announced in the next week or two.
Will that land on pay-per-view?
Look, the numbers involved to try and make that rematch again with Josh Taylor where he is, and Jack and everything like that, it demands it, unfortunately. What I will say is there'll be a huge chief support, there'll be a huge card, but ultimately a fight like that, with the interest around it and with what happened, it was tough to even not put it on pay-per-view the first time. There's a reason why Josh is a unified champion and been boxing over it. When have you ever seen a unification on British soil? And well, I don't think it's happened before. And then it wasn't pay-per-view for obvious reasons. But yeah, we're trying to put as many not on pay-per-view. Just look at our schedule this year. I think there's been 2 pay-per-views on Sky. Despite Shields Marshall, despite Eubank, despite Taylor-Catterall, despite so many different big shows, we're trying to limit pay-per-views. But sometimes, you know, you have to do what you have to do, and prices won't be increased on Sky as it stands. It's always going to be £20. But ultimately, we've done what we can this year to avoid too many pay-per-views, to put as much value. We've done more British shows than any promoter on TV this year, and yeah, I think that one might just demand it.
Ben, something I'm interested to get your thoughts on. The WBC Safety Compliance Commissioner says the British Boxing Board of Control are underperforming with a 34% safety compliance in WBC bouts. I just want to get your take on that.
First I've heard of it, so I don't want to comment. Look, we all know a lot can be improved in the sport, whether that we've seen that in recent weeks, we've seen that with Taylor-Catterall, we've seen that with the Ben Eubank situation. We've seen it all the time. I'm glad that WBC seems to be. I thought the convention last week and the way you guys covered it was good. More transparency in the sport, more openness, more conversation, more not being afraid to say things. That's what we need, and fair play to WBC, because it feels like they want to go in that direction. And for a long time, and still governing bodies, everyone's very, very suspicious of them. But it seems like as long as people are holding each other to account, then the sport's going to get better.
Of course, we appreciate the kind words there, Ben. And just one final one. The show on the 27th of November, obviously because of the timings of the day that's happening, were there any issues you had to overcome with kind of Ofcom or watershed moments, and etc.? Because let's just say, and God forbid, something was to happen at, say, 3-4 p.m, and you're being watched by children who could be 10, 11, 12 years old, it may create some issues there. Were there any problems you had to overcome on that behalf to try and get the fight, the card done rather?
Look, our job's to grow the sport, not try and hide it away. We want to make it more accessible. We want people to be proud of it. We want the biggest audiences to see it. It's a beautiful sport. Why would we be worried about hiding it away? If we can put it on in the afternoon, we'll do it, because we're going to get new fans. And there's not many, as you say, people that will wait up to 10:30 on a main event on a Saturday night, whether they're out or whether they're not. So if we get opportunities, I mean, it's bloody hell, it's boxing. It's not... I think we should be pushing as much as possible for boxing to be seen to everyone in the best way possible, and as long as it's done in the right way, then I think it's a good opportunity.
Well, Ben, I appreciate your time. Thanks for speaking to me in ID Boxing.
Cheers, thanks, mate.